Well, live, it is the fourth hour of the Alex Jones Show. We've got an absolute ton of news to cover today, focusing on the rebellion against Extinction Rebellion. It didn't take long, did it? And now they chose, out of all the targets that they could have picked to protest against climate change, they chose an electric-powered train, the London Underground, and the reaction was not too pleasant, to say the least. Headline up on Summit.News, also on the Drudge Report. Angry Londoners drag climate change protesters from roof of train. Middle-class virtue signallers met with little enthusiasm from working-class commuters. And this is the point that I've been making over the past 2 weeks since these major protests started in major cities around the world. This is a middle or upper middle-class protest, literally damaging, inconveniencing the lives of mainly working class people. There you see the video from Canning Town, London this morning. Not a great location to pick to pull off this stunt, given that it's in East London. It's very working class, and it's full of people, as you see there, probably at 6, 7 a.m. in the morning. 5 people deep, as is usual for that time in the morning with the London Underground, trying to get on the train, trying to go to work. In fact, there were some people in the crowd yelling out, you know, I've got to put food on my table, I've got to get to work. Why on earth did they choose to protest in one of the poorest areas of London by climbing on top of an electric train? You would think that they would want to encourage people to use electric-powered public transport, given that they're supposedly protesting against CO2 emissions and climate change, yet they picked the worst possible target. And you saw what happened there. The racist, far-left, environmentalist extremist kicked a black man in the face. That's what their protest has come to. Of course, all the media headlines after that were about how he was pummeled by a mob. He wasn't pummeled by a mob. Yeah, there were a few punches thrown, there were a few kicks directed at him. But neither this guy or the second individual, because there were 2 people who jumped on top of this train, really came out of it badly injured. In fact, they were fine. I think they were later arrested by police. But again, absolutely insane to choose that location in London and to choose that method of public transport to pull off that stunt. Because as I exhaustively documented in the video I put out about this last week, the truth about Extinction Rebellion, last time, they were targeting the meat market, again in London, in Smithfield, the meat market, which is, again, a working-class area full of people, some of them on minimum wage, others earning very little money, others trying to support businesses. These are working-class people, lower middle-class at best, and they picked the meat market where all the working-class people work, and the train in East London, the poorest area of East London. And is it any surprise what happened? So 4 of the protesters were arrested. I don't think any of the individuals involved in the fracas trying to pull them down from the train were arrested. And then there's another clip, which I tweeted earlier. Headline at Guido Fawkes, commuter calls out Extinction Rebellion for electric train protest. And it's basically a bunch of working class people. And let's say, to be fair, it's a very diverse crowd, isn't it? Because Canning Town, those areas of East London, Stratford, places like that, are literally about 50-60% migrants. So it's kind of ironic that those very same people jumping on top of those trains will be very vehemently pro-mass immigration, and yet at least half of the people surrounding them and pulling them down in this instance were probably migrants that came to the country as a result of mass immigration. So there you have the based migrants basically pulling down, dragging down the far left, upper middle class environmental poshos, and it was very hilarious to say the least. Basically, Extinction Rebellion has been cancelled today. If you read the reactions to their own Facebook post, their own tweets, their own tweet threads, virtually every single response, even from people who supported them, was like, that's it, I'm done. I can't support this anymore. Why are you targeting poor people? The ones, by the way, who are at the forefront of being impacted by these climate regulations, by these climate taxes, as we'll see later on in Holland. Of course, the yellow vest protest in France started off primarily as a protest against fuel tax hikes because of the restrictions there on the people out in the suburbs, out in the countryside. That brought a lot of the Yellow Vest protesters to Paris. So one of their main gripes, one of their main concerns was environmental regulation, environmental taxes, which target the poorest in the West and, of course, target the poorest in many third world countries because they're not allowed to develop because of this whole global warming crusade. We had another example of this in Canada. Headline: video, irate man breaks up line of Extinction Rebellion protesters trying to block intersection. This was in Edmonton, Canada. An irate man broke up a line of Extinction Rebellion protesters who were trying to block a busy intersection as onlookers cheered. So there were some guys filming it out of what looked like an office block window just above the incident. And footage of the incident shows climate change activists blocking a road while holding a banner that says "Walk, don't talk." Well, quite a few of the people in those vehicles did talk. They were yelling at them to get out of the way. And then one guy got out of his car, or I think he came from behind. I'm not sure if he actually got out of a vehicle or if he was just walking past. Grabs their banner, throws it over a wall, then grabs one of their phones and smashes it on the ground. They all start having hissy fits. The line is broken and traffic resumes as normal. And the people commenting on it as they film it from the window are quite funny as well. They say, "That was brilliant. That was effing amazing. That guy's my hero." So again, the rebellion against Extinction Rebellion continues to expand across the United Kingdom and across Canada because people are sick and tired of being told how to live their lives by these privileged upper middle class snobs who fly to Daddy's ski lodge in Stade, Switzerland, 3 times a year. Somebody pointed that out on a tweet thread a few weeks ago. They collated all the examples of climate change activists taking photographs from within airplanes out the window. And of course, then he had Greta Thunberg, who literally pals around with Arnold Schwarzenegger, a guy who has a garage full of muscle cars and tanks. Leonardo DiCaprio, who goes on yacht cruises on giant 400-foot yachts owned by Middle Eastern oil billionaires. And then the next day he went to a climate march protest. You have, of course, Prince Harry, who went on 4 private jet trips in the space of just 11 days. Was he doing it to save the planet? No, he was doing it so he could go and party with Elton John in his mansion in France. There you see Greta, who we cannot criticize, who has literally been sainted as the new Jesus, the successor to Jesus Christ in Sweden. They had church bells ring out in honor of Greta. I put a YouTube video out about Greta, as has others, and it got deleted for cyberbullying because, they can put up a poster child for their agenda all day long. It's a good little trick, that, isn't it? As soon as you say anything against them, against their message, then you get silenced. After the break, we're going to get into more of this because Holland, again, had a massive protest against climate change restrictions. This is working class farmers blocking highways, producing traffic jams across the entire country of Holland because, like the Yellow Vests in Paris, they're sick of these environmental regulations impacting their lifestyles and eviscerating whatever disposable income they have left. We're also going to get into Norwegians told to pee in the shower, again, to save the planet. This is the Alex Jones Show, live, Infowars.com. Don't go away. We'll be back.